18 Lohan Palm has, as a part of its completeness, a way to train seated, because it's actually a support system for meditation. If you look at the legend was that basically that the monks at the Shaolin Temple were not in any shape to actually be able to participate in good meditation practices, simply because they would fall asleep. Their bodies weren't healthy enough. So the idea of the Lohan Palm as one of the three big exercises was to sort of balance yin and yang and give the body support so it'd become more healthy, you'd sleep better, and you'd be more comfortable to sit in meditation. You wouldn't lose the feeling in your legs. You probably wouldn't fall asleep if you did these exercises all the time. So it involves different massages, different stretches, and it also involves doing the form seated. So in addition to doing the form itself this way, there's actually a couple of seated exercises that are not contained in the set, and those are the ones I'm going to do today for my training, and I thought I'd film. So this one is called turtleneck and snake back. So turtleneck because I'm trying to elongate my neck as much as I can, and I'm trying to elongate my spine. So I'm reaching upwards through the top of my head, doing all of the stand tall like the monkey alignment, and trying to drop my tailbone, quote unquote, between my heels, as if I was standing. So I'm trying to get my tailbone to point towards the earth. Pardon me. Now, you turn just your heart, bring the heart down to the knee, okay, and then swing across to the other side and back up. Now, you're not supposed to curl your back, okay, so you're trying your best to keep your back nice and straight the whole time. Shifu Chen, when he taught me this, he said that you should do it 9 times each way. 9's a magical number in Chinese mythology and numerology, Buddhism, all kinds of stuff. Let me get into that stuff. Ideally, do it a good number of times, not once or twice. Do it 9, and do it each way equally. This is a really, really good one if you have lower back pain, if your kidneys feel cold, things like that. Good for sciatica too. Okay. Next one is one hand leads the entire body. So this has different names and different styles. But in Lohan, it's a hand leading the body. So the idea here at first when you learn it is that my heart, I'll turn it and I'll point it at my hand. Now, I'm going to rotate my hand and then push it backwards. And I'm going to make it so that my heart is being dragged by it. And then, same, my heart is being dragged around by it. Now that's a beginner level 1. You shouldn't even have to do that too many times. It's just a good way to kind of get things moving. I generally don't even explain it. Beginners usually just get this. Then you want to do the Lohan dredging kind of palm. So what that means is that now my heart's moving, because my dantian, my lower dantian, is fixed, right? Because I'm doing seated training. So the only dantian I can actively move now and make my body adjust with it is middle dantian. So middle dantian will turn and it'll pull on my shoulder joint, my elbow joint, my wrist joint, my fingertips, and it's like I'm pulling a heavy waterlogged, piece of fabric out of a body of water. It's got to have a real heaviness to it as I pull. Okay, now it's going to sweep past my body due to momentum. So if we were to do this really fast and let my arm totally go, it's going to fling my arm out, right? So we're just faking that momentum. Now, I drag my arm again by turning dantian away. My shoulder rolls over and it pulls me across. So the heart, middle dantian, is what matters the absolute most here. So I'll just do a few. One hand leads the whole body. So when Shifu Chen taught it to me, at first we worked on this being the top there and the bottom there of a cylinder. That's just to kind of get an idea of what space you're defining or not defining when you're practicing. Okay. So top and bottom of a cylinder is a great way to practice. Then if you're feeling more warmed up, you really want to get some more movement in your body, then you can start to really lean with this and extend through the joints, which is a huge part of Lohan training, right? Is extending out through the ends of the limbs. Eventually, you'll end up with a quiet version. Now, the quiet version of this will be that dantian moves, but only a small amount. And it'll manifest in the furthest joint for the same reason. I'll pull my arm and my shoulder and my elbow, but it's so small that all of it is like the end of a whip being snapped, right? You're not going to see movement here, you're going to see it out in front. So I turn, my wrist turns because it's being pulled and then pulled, pulled. So you end up with this. So then this becomes more and more quiet as you get better. Like if you were to see Shifu Chen's, his body looks basically still. I have not, let me see how quiet I can actually get. I can't be as still as him yet. No, not quite. Like you'll barely see anything happen, especially if he's wearing a suit. But the power here is the same as a loud movement. So those are the progression of one hand leads the whole body. Turtleneck, snake back, one hand leads the whole body. And then pretty much the only other one that I'm not sure I've filmed for anybody seated is change palms 3 times. So this is a really nice exercise too. This is the one that you find in the middle of the set. And I've got my right hand palm down, my left hand palm up. I turn them over and then press forward, right? So in the middle of the form, you have this movement. It's a good place to train it when you're seated because lower dantian, which does not move in the form either for this movement, is stuck, right? I've got it fixed. So this is a pretty simple movement. In the set, I would have ended up here with my left hand up. I would breathe in, right? Lifting my hand with my breath. And then I would change the position of my hands. So my left hand out, palm up, my right hand palm down, and then I would turn middle dantian to push my right hand and pull my left hand back. So I'm just going to do the move a few times, but I'm going to talk about this because everything in Lohan has multiple kind of layers to it. So at first, what I'll normally say is that dantian moves first. It'll push the shoulder, it'll push the elbow, it'll push the arm. I teach this in Tai Chi too. Okay. However, push is very young, and it's just a way to kind of get the body to start to move. We want, instead of push, to start doing pull. So I'm no longer pushing my shoulder, I'm pulling away from it, okay? And this matters a great deal as to which muscles start to cascade in your body. This changes your physiology, not your physiology. Change the neurological firing pattern is what it's really doing. So now I'm pulling away from my hand and pulling my hand back, pulling away from my hand and pulling back my hand, okay? And I end up doing that in succession on both sides at once. So the easiest way to train it is you start by pushing a hand, flipping them over, pushing a hand, flipping them over, pushing a hand. Then you start pulling the hand back. So I'm concentrating here on my right hand and I'm pulling it back to me. The other hand's been trained on what it's supposed to do. So I pull back towards my body, pull back. So I'm pulling back one hand at a time. Eventually, you should be able to pull back on one hand while pulling on the other hand to make it extend. So remember, this is a pull, not a push at this point. So then when you get into change palms 3 times, you start to see what the change is. It's not pushing palms, right? It's change which hand is out, but never disobeying one of the Lohan rules is that it's pull, not push. Okay? You're always pulling with the dantian. We'll talk about that another time. But those are the seated exercises and what I've been working on today.